Hi, this is Irene with BrainStormAcres, and I've been promising you guys for a while that I was going to do a planning video, but I also said I'd talk about last year's experience. And Henry and I spent probably 2 hours this morning going through the notes from last year on what we planted, how they did, and reassessing it for this year. A couple of our friends have made a comment this year that they sort of got caught up in all the seed sharing last year. Now, don't get me wrong, it was awesome. It was so much fun to have all kinds of seeds that we might not have tried, except for the fact that people gave them to us. But it's not always the right decision. And that's what most people have come to the conclusion of. If you have a really large garden with unlimited resources, you don't have to worry about your water, you don't have to worry about your fertilizer, you don't have to worry about critters coming in and eating anything. You can afford to set aside a goodly quantity of space to just try 10 dozen varieties. And if it doesn't work out, no biggie, because you still have all your production somewhere else. We are not lucky enough to be in that situation. We have a small garden, it's all raised beds, and water is at a severe premium here because we live in the desert. Now we're high desert, so we don't have exactly the same weather as someone, say, in the Phoenix area might. But in the past several years, we've had exceptionally hot patches where it was 101, 102, 103, 104 for days on end with the drying wind. So that really takes it out of the garden. That means that we need to consider how we're going to use our resources. And everybody has to make that sort of decision. If you have a little condo somewhere and you've got a little deck that's got some room for some planters, you can only put so many things there. So I thought I'd share how we made our decisions this year, and hopefully that'll help other folks decide how they'll make their decisions. Now, I want to talk about peppers first. We had planned to grow 2 different types of peppers this year. We planned to grow Antohi, which is an Eastern European frying pepper, and Baron, which is a poblano pepper. We do not use a ton of peppers in our cooking around the homestead. We do love New Mexico chili, and we have a favorite brand, and we can't always get it. So we were experimenting with the poblano this summer to see if we could use that as a replacement in some of our dishes. We had decided we were going to grow just those 2. Now, people will say, what happened to your bell peppers? We don't grow them here. Now, the reason we don't grow them here is we are high altitude. And from experience, I tried pretty much the first several years that we lived here, all the major varieties of peppers in terms of bells. And first of all, I don't cook with bell pepper much. I just don't. It tends to upset my stomach, which means I like the flavor, but if I eat them, I'll suffer for it later. So I save my sensitivity to pepper for things like jalapeno pepper jelly and a good New Mexico chili when I'm having good Mexican food. So we don't normally grow a lot of peppers anyway, and eliminating the bell was only mildly problematic. And then by some chance, I don't know, I must have been reading something, and we tried an Eastern European frying pepper. I think our original variety came from Burpees, probably. At that time, we were buying a lot of our seeds from Burpees, and because we had had very, very good success with those in New England. Since then, we've actually switched away from Burpees because we find their seeds didn't do as well for us personally here in Arizona. They were absolutely spot on when we lived in Massachusetts, but here they just, they were okay. I tried what they call an Eastern European frying pepper. Now, the difference is we can have cool nights here. That means it might be 85 degrees during the day here and 55 at night. 30-degree difference is not uncommon here, sometimes 40. And generally speaking, bell peppers don't like that. And I didn't want to have to try and cover them every night and all that sort of stuff. So, switching to the Eastern European frying peppers, I will never forget the first year I grew these little beggars. They were like a banana pepper in terms of the shape. And I remember growing 6 plants because I thought that would be good, because we'd always had terrible production off of any regular bell peppers here. Well, there was only one problem with the 6 plants. Each plant produced approximately 30 fruits. So suddenly, I was up to my armpits in Eastern European frying peppers. My one salvation that summer is we had a mason working for us who was doing the stucco on our house and studio. He was of Eastern European ancestry, and I think he may have seen them on the plant or something. I asked him if he'd like any, and he was just delighted, because you can't get them in the grocery store. Just can't get them. There's nothing like them. And so every time he came over, I would give him a little grocery bag with like 12 of them in there. And he would, the next time I'd see him, he'd be telling me about how he took them home and he fried them up and made a steak to go with them. And oh, how totally awesome this was, because it's something he hadn't had in years because he couldn't get it living up here. So that was kind of my salvation. That, and I froze like tons and tons. And peppers are super easy to freeze. You don't have to blanch them. All you have to do is clean them however you want to. If you want to take all the seeds out or whatever, we would clean them, cut them into strips, throw them in bags, and freeze them. And they last at least a year that way. We started out with just the 2, the Antohi, which is the Eastern European frying, and the Baron, which is a poblano. And we were gifted Spanish Mammoth, which is a large bell pepper, Espelette, which is a chili pepper from the Basque region of France and is used for making dried chili powder, and Fushimi, which is a Japanese medium hot chili pepper, which can be used in stir fry, can be used to eat raw, a couple of different uses there. So what are we going to grow this year? We grew all of those. Our biggest problem was the mice and rats thought that they were the tastiest thing on the face of the planet. They chewed most of the peppers down to the ground. I think we lost all of our Spanish Mammoth completely, just gone. And I tried everything. I shot squirrels, I trapped rats. I did everything I could think of. I did reduce the rodent population in the area dramatically, but the damage was done. Some of the plants were lost. I had some hopes, because it's always interesting to see how a specific variety does in comparison to another specific variety of the same plant. Our Espelette did survive, and so did our Fushimi. To be honest, didn't care for the Fushimi. We tried eating a few of them. We did not have the time to do anything elaborate with them. Our conclusion was they didn't suit us. Now the Espelette, I actually have a, in New Mexico we would call it a ristra. That means a string of dried peppers. And I had read up on how they dry the peppers professionally in the Basque regions. I tried to do it as close as I could without moving to Spain. So I have a string of them in the kitchen, and actually we plan to try grinding them up. Now, again, we don't use that much chili powder here. We just don't. We use chili powder mostly for making Texas chili. My husband really enjoys it. I'll make a big batch of it, and then we'll freeze it, and he has a batch in there anytime he wants some. I don't eat it. I don't care for it. It's just personal preference thing. I do want to grind that up and see how it is, see how it compares to some of the other thing. Chipotle, that was what I was thinking of. We have a monster container that we bought at a big food box store of Chipotle pepper. And we've got several of the big regular chili powder peppers. Although we enjoyed growing it, and we will probably save some of the seeds just in case we really can't live without it. Again, I don't think we'll do it. So what we're going to do this year is we're going to grow the Antohi, which is my Eastern European frying pepper again, and we'll grow the Baron Poblano. Now, Is it possible I'll change my mind? Yeah. If we have the time, and we should have the time, between now and when we need to actually plant the peppers, which will be less than a month, I want to try processing the poblanos that we have. We were in such a rush last year at when we had a bunch of them on and we had to go somewhere and we were just sort of grabbing them and trying to salvage them. So we did the sensible thing and froze them. We have a couple that are dried as ancho, because when you take a poblano pepper and you dry it, then it's then called an ancho pepper. So we have 2 or 3 that are dried as anchos, and as long as they stay dry, they can be used anytime we want to. And I actually need to do a little research. I think I know what they're normally used for in Mexican cooking, so I'll need to check that out. But we want to process the poblanos that we have that are frozen and see if we really like the flavor. If we do, then it becomes worth growing them again. If we don't, then probably all we will do is grow the antojis. When I used to do that one that was shaped like a banana pepper, I didn't grow them every year. The first year I grew them, I wound up with a huge pile of them in my freezer. So the next year I think I skipped, and then the year after that I just grew like 2 or 3 plants, because that's enough. I still had more than I could use, enough to use fresh and enough to freeze. And I think that's an important thing that people need to think about when they're growing on a home scale. You don't need to grow everything every year. If you have a super bountiful crop, there were years that I produced so much tomato sauce that I didn't need to can any the next year. All I did was we had some small quantity of tomatoes for fresh eating. And other than that, you don't have to grow every plant every year. If you have limited space and you have a bonus crop one year, then consider whether you're going to grow it the next year. Some people give away everything that they produce that they don't use themselves. Totally cool. We don't. We have given away large quantities of squash and tomatoes and other things in the past. Consider if you have a really bonus year in terms of production, you don't have to grow it the next year. This year, our current plan is Eastern European frying peppers. We like the one from Johnny's called Antohi. The poblano peppers from Johnny's called Baron. So I hope this helps you understand how I'm thinking in terms of choosing my peppers, what we did this year, what we're going to do this coming year. Keep on growing, keep on experimenting, and think hard about whether you're going to use random seeds that you hadn't planned on. I'm sure someone will give me something this year that I can't resist. I have to be strategic in how I plan my garden and what I do. And that will be another video. So until then, like and subscribe, and be sure to hit that notification button so that you hear about all the other crazy stuff we're doing in the garden and around the homestead. There's always something new out there. Until then, have a great day. Bye. That flyby was Henry. We're holding.
We're holding.
We're holding.
I have to come hold.
What are we holding? Don't answer that. This is a PG-rated program.
No, it's unrated as yet.